if you are in a career in any way that you present information to people, we think sales is the only one, but there's so many times that we're pitching things to our friends, our family, our significant others. And, but Oren's a master of the concept of controlling the narrative and how you pitch. So I'm really excited. I'm a fan myself. So I'd like to bring on Oren Klaff, who's the author of Pitch Anything, and flip the script. I just want to jump right in because you have so much content to say, but it's no secret you're a genius. Tell us, tell not everyone who maybe doesn't know who you are, what do you do, and what is your theory about pitching?
Sure. It's unlikely that somebody doesn't know who I am, but just, on the off chance. So listen, my day job is to walk into rooms at the side of some random freeway in some random city somewhere and ask old grumpy people for money, right? And not $100, not $5, but $5 million, $10 million, $50 million. Hey, and whenever you say to someone, hey, I'm interested, could you give me $50 million? It is always a high stress situation, right? And the stakes are high, the stress is high. And when there's that much money involved, right? There's no hugs, there's no warmth, right? When they ask you to leave, they just go, hey, here's a to-go lid for your coffee, right? Thank you. You walk in that room and you say hi, and they go, sorry, remind us who you are. Like, there's not the normal sensibilities and the social reciprocation you get at the lower level. Like, you go to sell something for $5,000, $100,000, whatever it is. Like, they know you're a sales guy or you're a pitch guy, and you're at Oracle or Microsoft or UPS or wherever you go, and they're warm and they're friendly and they understand that you're doing your job and they're doing their job, and there's social reciprocation and you guys live in a network. But when you amp up to $5 million, $10 million, all of that is gone, right? Sorry, who the fuck are you again? Right? Oh yeah, no, we didn't read it. Start at the beginning. Oh, right. And so it's very high stakes. It's not a normal, compassionate, social situation in which you have reciprocation. So that's what I do, right? And the things you learn in those situations. So many times when you have a specialized business, right, the lessons don't extend, to other businesses, but the things you learn when you ask someone for $20 million extend perfectly. Down to asking for a date, to asking for a job, to asking for a raise, to asking for a sale, because they are the things you learn there are based on human responses. And so what I'd say, and to key in the things that I learned from doing this for 15, 20 years is this. People want what they can't have. People chase that which moves away from them, and people only value that which they pay for. So at the $50 million or $5 level, humans behave exactly the same way. They want what they can't have, chase that which moves away from them. They only value that which they pay for, right? And so if you bake your pitch, whether you're asking for a job or whatever you're doing, within that construct, you'll immediately improve it. So now you know everything I know, and you can hang up on me.
Well, I want to go into a tiny bit of detail. Let's start at the beginning. What do we do before the pitch? What do we do before we are even in the room? Any top level, ideas what we should be doing, especially now when we can't even get in the room?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things. Status is really, I've coined this term prizing, prize yourself. I don't know any motivation, right? So if you came here, funny, I was speaking to audience for a big tech company, there's 7,000 people in the audience, big as again. And I walk on stage and I say, are you guys over here, are you ready to have the billions of dollars that are in the galaxy that are waiting to find its way into your bank account? They go, yeah. And you guys over here ready to get so excited that the $1 million goals you have will just seem like infinitesimal, and Lucky Charms appear in your life. Yeah. And then you came to the wrong presentation because I don't do any of that shit.
Okay.
I don't do motivation, but the one piece of motivation that I think is absolutely critical that you do for yourself, I can't give it to you. I mean, most of the people coming to this event are self-motivated. This isn't AA or NA or depressive A or whatever. This is like, I'm motivated, I'm interested, I'm trying to move my career down a path that makes sense. But the thing that you can do before the pitch, as a matter of fact, the thing you have to do is status. Yeah. Status is key. When you come in as the salesperson or when you come in as the interviewee looking for a job, and you occupy the low status position, you can see this happening in front of your eyes in any presentation. Somebody's selling you something, you selling somebody. The salesperson goes, "Thank you so much for taking the meeting. Really excited to be here. Prepared a great presentation for you today. If you pick us, to be your software vendor, be your supplier, your logistics, consulting, whatever it is, you'll see customer service is #1 at our company. I'll bend over backwards. You can always get in touch with me, and I think you'll really enjoy. Where I hope you pick us, and you really. So this is all a validation-seeking behavior, and it lowers your status when you occupy the low status position. Couple things happen physiologically, biologically in the other person. When they feel powerful and they feel like you are not powerful, low status, you put yourself in that position. Thank you, please, I appreciate it, no problem, starting late, whatever works for you. No, I don't need any water. I'm a camel. Sorry, I'm late.
I don't want anything, just put me outside if you want, in the sun, okay? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm late. I couldn't find parking. Really, asshole, you're interviewing for a $250,000 CTO job and you couldn't come 5 minutes early and find parking anyway. So status lowering behavior that you inflict on yourself, because believe me, people will do status lowering to you, right? And you have to get control over that, which I assume we'll talk over in a minute. They'll do it to you. Don't do it to yourself. Thank you, please, sorry, right? So the reason is not to be a big man on campus or look better than you are or anything like that. It's because when somebody feels powerful over you, things happen physiologically, right? One is they only see you at a very surface level, a thin veneer. They see your exterior, right? They don't see your depth, your character, your values, your charisma, your capabilities, the sensibility of you as a human. They don't see any of that. They just see Brett, 5'11", whatever you are,
sure,
average looking computer, white guy with facial hair. What can I get from him? Right. So they see you at a surface level. What can I get from you? Not what is your value? Another thing that happens is they take risks with you that they would not take in the presence of a peer or a boss. Believe me, when that same guy, right, who's checking his phone, saying, excuse me, or not excuse me, taking a call from his wife during your meeting that you flew across the country to take. When he goes to Bank of America and is meeting, with the vice president for a loan for his company, he's not taking a call from his wife. He's not checking eBay to see if somebody outbid him, on a bicycle, right?
Yeah.
He's in a low status position. So people see you at a surface level, right? They take risks with you, and the other thing is that their line of attention is very narrow, right? So the line of attention is, what can I get? What can I get? I don't see you as a person. I see you as a function, and I'm happy to take risks because this is I'm in the power position. So that's what you create when you start with a low status position. So
what do we do to break out? What do we do to break out of, and establish that status? Is it something that happens before the meeting, in the meeting? We need that status. Absolutely. And I can give you 10 examples. The client who, instead of paying attention to you, starts looking at the deck, starts looking at the slide, looking down at your slides or your deck. What do we do to grab status and have them interested and fixated on us? For sure.
The thing that creates those kinds of low status scenarios is that there are no stakes. When I behave that way in a meeting, checking my phone for eBay, taking a call, the stakes are low for the listener or the buyer or the hirer or whatever it is. Okay, so what you have to do is raise the stakes. That's why the meetings start I can give you some, scripts or tactics to start a meeting. I mean, it's very simple, right? Hey, glad we could find time on the calendar to meet. I know you're busy. We're busy as well. I don't know if we're good, if we're smart, or if we're just lucky, but this time of year we are extremely, busy, hard to find time on the calendar. I'm glad we could both find time and be here. Look, I prepared a 15-minute presentation, right? A to Z, what it is, how it works, what we do, how you can work with us. At the end, I'll give you some time to, in context of our service and what we do, to tell me a little bit about yourselves. And if our circles overlap, we'll find a way to work together. Be pretty easy. Sound good? If anybody needs fluids in or out, take them now. Otherwise, let's roll. So
that's awesome. That's great.
Now, a lot of people here, I can't see the chat box going, I would never say, oh my God, that's so rude, right? I've said that a million times to billionaires. I've said to billionaires, hey, someone in this room are going to kick off the island, might be you, to a billionaire. So it takes some time to get up to that. But what I can tell you is nobody that you're going to take a meeting with, if you say those words in your own color, in your own way, would in any way be offended. That's how meetings, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, at banks, where decisions are made like that, in the military, that's how they're run. Hey guys, listen, we're busy, you're busy. Glad we found time on the calendar, right? No, please, no, thank you. If you need fluids in or out, grab them now, because we got a lot to get to, short period of time. I have till about 45 minutes, right? Then I have to go to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, where we've got, 17 F-35s taking off, on their initial test run, and we're approving $3.5 billion in the new Star Wars program. I have 45 minutes here to jump on this, right? Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, okay, let's roll. Here's the agenda, right?
Yeah.
And so the person receiving that, the exact opposite of being offended in any way, goes, oh my God, thank God. Finally, I'm in the hands of a professional, knows how to run a meeting. I wish all of my meetings ran like this. Rock and roll, buddy. I'm ready. Attention.
Amazing. And what's interesting here is I think that a lot of the audience today and a lot of the audience that is evolving in just this economy are putting together these beautiful, amazing, creative proposals. A lot of the product that we are selling is a creative product or a strategic product. We spend all this time, creating the narrative for how we want to present it. And the person on the other end might say, just email me your slides. Just email me the deck. How would you respond to something like that? Maybe it's, too specific, or are you hearing about people that don't even, that want it at least in advance would like to see the proposal?
Sure. I think we got to move backwards a little bit and sort of finish up the conversation on status, because we can talk about pitch tactics, but you can read Pitch Anything, right, and get the pitch tactics. But look, the status, you can't demand it. You can't show it off, right? It has to first be in you. It has to be so you have to believe the following. Money is a commodity. You can get it anywhere. What the buyer or the hirer or the partner or the girl or the guy or the whatever it is you're pitching cannot get is you. And you have to believe functionally. You're the best in the world at what you do. And if the buyer or the hirer doesn't work with you, they're in the weak position, not you.
Yeah.
So if you're there needing validation, needing needing them more than they need you, you're functionally in the low status position. You cannot sell for many, many reasons. And some we talk from the low status position. So it's got to be inside you. You have to believe you're the best. And so I don't know, for young people, younger, maybe you feel like you're not the best. You just got to shrink your domain until it's small enough that you own it. I'll tell you a quick story that I think is good. I got a call from the United Power Managers Group, UPMG, right? And they go, hey, would you like to speak in your inimitable style for our conference? I go, yeah, sure. They're like, great. It's in Houston. I'm like, no, I'm not going to Houston to speak for the United Power Managers Group. They're like, hey, whatever, it pays $45,000, which sounds like it's good money for an hour, but there's a lot involved. You have to prepare. I go, no, I'm out. I'm not going to Texas for the United Power Managers Group. And they go, look, we can sweeten it. Okay. How would you like to meet Emmett Smith? Because he's speaking right before you. I go, Emmett Smith. So if you don't know who Emmett Smith is, he's with the 5-time champion, Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys, the all-time leading rusher in the NFL, right? Probably the #1 most recognizable name in football. If you watch football in the 80s and 90s, like there's Emmitt Smith is the personification of championship winning football, right? And not only that, but he went on then to win Dancing with the Stars, so he's contemporary as well. Like it's better than meeting Abraham Lincoln, meeting Emmitt Smith. I go, yeah, of course, I'll do it. Meet him. So I go to the conference, pick up my badge. It's right next to Emmitt Smith. They lead me back. Emmitt Smith is there with his entourage. His entourage starts peeling off. We get in the same room. This guy is so socially prized. Everybody loves him. He is a celebrity above all celebrities, right? And he's never going to pay attention to Oren Klaff, right? And so the MC were just the three of us there. Emmitt Smith, superstar of all superstars, and me, Oren Klaff. Right. And the MC goes, hey, Oren, I'd like to introduce you. I go, oh, I know. Randall Cunningham. Nice to meet you. Right. Randall Cunningham is another black, famous football player from the same era. And Emmitt Smith goes, I ain't Randall Cunningham. The reason that I did that is because in my mind, right, I am as valuable, as important to that situation as Emmitt Smith. And he has to pay attention to me. Right. Wow. And I just feed into here's another white 40-year-old football fanboy, but I can tell you to this day, he remembers who Oren Klaff is, because establishing that's very sophisticated, but you have to have in your mind that you have value in that situation. Right.
Yeah. I don't think it feels like, so are you partially suggesting that a lot of the pitch process is looking at yourself as part of the product, or looking at yourself as part of the solution, and not just the analytical side? And you talk a lot in your book about the analytical thinker, the analytical numbers, and does it all make sense? But you're also buying me. Is that part of how you frame it?
Here's the issue. I am the world's expert in this thing. When I leave, your life is going to get worse unless we work together. So it is only from that position that you can raise the stakes. And instead of saying, I'm going to pitch you, right? And then at the end of the meeting, you're going to say, send me the slides. I got to talk to my partner, send up to committee. We'll circle back if we have any questions. That is not what's happening at this meeting.
Yeah.
Now, I might come in and go, hey guys, good to meet you. Brett, so nice. Wonderful. We've had good conversations. Glad we've timed on the calendar. A lot of things are going to happen in this meeting very quickly. Let me tell you something that's not going to happen, right? We're not getting to the point of the meeting where you go, sounds interesting. Send me the slides. We'll take a look at it. Like, we're not doing that. Today, we're going to figure out, right? Do we advance to a form of contract and get some terms? Or do we say, hail fellow, well met, keep each other's name in the Rolodex, but go different ways? Okay, what we're not doing is proposals and slides and everything like that, because it's not that we want to send out slides or proposals, right? Think about it. I'm investing an hour here. I have my team with me. So we're investing 3 hours in this call. We've already done another call. So now I think we've got 7 hours in it.
Yeah.
But it's not just me. You guys have invested too. You guys have had 3 or 4 people working on this. We've been communicating back and forth, sharing information, set a meeting. We had a pre-call. So you and I have probably put 14, 15 hours into working on this. Are you telling me that the best guys in the world, right? You have the #1 accounting software in the region. I'm the #1 security expert, for SaaS security networks. That us two knuckleheads can't work for 14 hours and figure out, oh, we're going to work together. We're not going to work together. Makes no sense. If we can't figure that out after all that investment in time, let's just say it can't happen.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's figure out through the course of the next 35 minutes what we're doing. Right. And then we go into the presentation, right? And the stakes are raised. This is not a meeting where you ask for the slides and you own the other person. You cannot be owned. And so the problem is that most people try and fix this problem at the end of the meeting. You can't do anything at the end of the meeting. You can't fix. It's not possible to fix. You can't close
at the end.
Yeah, look at me. Like, people know me. They don't know me. But I'm sold 1 million copies of Pitch Anything. People close billions of dollars in deals. People go, Oren, what's your best close? I'm like, I don't know. Like, hey, I got to go. Are we doing something or not? That's my best close. The best closer in the world, okay? His close is, I have to go. My little boy has a hockey practice. Tell me what to do. That's my close. Brett, I got a hockey practice. Tell me what to do. What am I doing here?
Yep.
Right? That's my close. Nothing you can do in closing or verbal jujitsu or 99 ways to close a deal will close a deal. It all happens at the beginning. Status, stakes, expertise, right? And all of this stuff falls under frame control. Right? You have to control the frame, what the buyer sees. And I know this is craft your story, but this is all pre-story. Yeah. And we can move into story now, right? But you've got to get the priming. Let me just say one thing and we'll move on. Like, there's no surface in the world you can paint without priming it. If you restore a car, you got to take it on to metal. You got to do the metal cleaner, and then you have to apply the primer, and then you have to sand the primer, and you have to freaking paint, and you have to sand it. Otherwise, the paint doesn't stick. A barn door, a window, nails, nothing in the world you can apply the story to without priming the surface. Before you pitch, I don't care how good your pitch is, surface has to be primed, and that priming is status, expertise, and stakes. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's a great framework, and it's an easy framework to look at. It's a hard framework to execute, but a very easy framework to kind of stick to.
Start easy. Hey, good to meet you. Right. I'm busy. You're busy. We found time in the calendar. Let's do some good work while we have some time together. I don't know what's going to happen, but we have it and you don't. In order to get it, you're going to have to sign an agreement and put money in our account. That's like how it works. Right. So I'll walk you through it. If our circles overlap enough, well, you know, it's easy. Okay. The money part is the easy part. Do we like each other? Can we work together? Are you good to work with? Do you meet your obligations? Right. And as much as you're evaluating me, I also have to evaluate you. So we have a lot to do.
Yeah. So what's next? What comes after, you know, is there another big moment because it sounds like you've closed the deal now in the priming phase, at least it feels to me. I'm ready to buy.
Yeah. But I mean, not to be
of it.
Yeah. You know, not to be crude, but you don't know what the fuck I have. Like, it sounds good. Yeah. I'll buy it. Right. You're amazing. But what do you do again? So we got to talk about what we do. Right. So I think the next thing is you have to give the pitch. You know, you have to describe. And so I think the most, if I took everybody listening, I say, pitch me your thing, right? They'd be passionate, they'd be knowledgeable, they'd be interested, they'd have numbers, right?
Lots of numbers.
Yeah, they'd have numbers, and they have the problem. And my criticism would be, you know, out of 100 pitches, 99 of the feedback I'd give is, you know too much about your own subject. You've included too much. So when I fix pitches for large companies, it's a matter of taking stuff out. So what actually belongs in there, and it's getting stuff in the right order, right? So I think about it, and maybe this is a good term people can relate to, an unlock code. What is the unlock? You know, you unlock your iPhone, you have a bank account, you have an ATM machine. You can't put the numbers in the wrong order. The buyer has an unlock code. It's like 8 digits, right? So if your deck is 25 pages, 35 pages, 65 pages, 7, you know, nobody has a 17, 25, 65, 80 digit unlock code. Typically it's like 8 pieces. You know, like I go pitch a lot with founders of companies, and a lot of times they won't follow my advice because they're entrepreneurs, right? And they're do-it-yourselfers. And so we go to the meeting and they ramble through the whole thing. And you could just see the venture capitalist or the private equity guy sitting there. Yeah. Like a garden gnome.
Yeah.
As they go along.
Unimpressed? You know, is that what it is? Are they unimpressed, unengaged?
No, it's none of that. Yeah. It's none of that. It's what you're talking about. It doesn't matter. They're just waiting for one of 7 points, right? The second you hit one of those codes, out comes a little Moleskine notebook, the little Coeco fountain pen, make a couple notes, put it back down, stone garden gnome again.
Yeah.
Right? You can talk about whatever you want. They're just waiting for that code, that they need to evaluate your deal. And they've learned over time, it's no use bothering you. You have rabies. You're an entrepreneur, you're a sales guy, you love your own stuff, right? And if they interrupt you, so buyer, here's the element. Buyers buy how they want to buy. They don't buy how you want to sell. You have to provide them the information they want in the order they want it, in the amount of detail they can absorb in that meeting. There's an elevator pitch question here. We can circle back around to that, whoever Brian is. But that's the thing. That's where pitch is messed up, right?
Well, yeah, Brian asked for everyone, how important is the elevator pitch? Which, that might be a complicated question or complicated answer, right?
No, it's not. I mean, this elevator pitch is kind of like a bullshit, fantastical scenario of mythical creatures, right? You step in an elevator and the billionaire goes, you have 30 seconds. We're gonna get that. If somebody tells you have 30 seconds to pitch your company or your deal, I mean, tell them to fuck off. Like, you pitch me your company in 30 seconds. It's the rudest thing in the world. You have 30 seconds.
Wow.
Think about it. Think about it. Is that who? Sorry to cut you off. Right. You get in an elevator with somebody, and they go, "Hey, son, you have 30 seconds to impress me." Right? Is that who you want to be the investor in your company and work with for the next 5 years? Right? Hey, Mr. Billionaire, we hit the COVID downturn. We don't have any revenue coming in. We need a check. Well, you have 30 seconds to tell me, why I should continue to support the company. Like things start at the beginning. Relationships are always the best at the beginning. You know that. Anybody who's older than 13 knows that. Yeah. Relationships are best at the beginning. If somebody says to you, tell me about your company in 30 seconds, or I'm walking away. Fuck off. Like, seriously, I would never say that to somebody. There's these, think about it. So that's something, if we have time, we talk about is values. It's not, can somebody invest in you? Do you want them to invest in you? It's not, can you get a job somewhere? It's, do you want to work there? Think about it. If I was going to go interview at Boeing or, Microsoft, and somebody looking down their nose at me and asking one of those bullshit, Google, hey, if the earth started spinning backwards, what kind of ice cream would you eat? Right? Fuck off. Okay. I don't ever want to work with you. You're trying, it's stressful enough. I'm here at Google. That's what I'd say. I'm 24 years old. I'm here at Google. It's a couple job interviews. Like, really? Like, I can't. If you want to play
ping pong balls fit in a 747 is a question I've heard.
What is it?
How many ping pong balls fit in a 747?
Yeah,
is a question I've heard that's out there. So that makes a lot of sense, though. I feel I've never had somebody answer the question that way, which is, I'm not gonna tell you my company's complex. My company's complex. There's a lot of even the most basic fundamental companies probably more than 30 seconds. But who I am is not, I can talk about that.
So here's the answer. Okay. There is a docking mechanism to an investor. There is a docking mechanism. So what I can do in 30 seconds is too much time, right? I say, look, the company is a couple, 5-10 minute discussion about the big idea, the problem we solve, why it's difficult to do what we do, what our competition looks like, how we beat the competition, what our value proposition is, what our ROI is for customers. But I can tell you this, right? Last year we did $1 million. This year we're $3 million on plan. We've got $300,000 of net income. The bookends on that might reach $500,000 as we're crushing through the year. Compared to the competitive set, we're increasing at an increasing rate, and our 5-year projection says we've got $5 million in EBITDA. And if we run a quick exit analysis, it's a $30 to $50 million exit at current market comps. You want to talk more about that? We can talk. That's the docking mechanism to money.
Yeah.
To talk about your company, you should not get pigeonholed. So you should be able to have that flash roll. Same thing like, hey, why should I introduce you to this guy at Google? The hiring manager that I know. Pitch yourself in 30 seconds. I would never allow myself.
Big answer to a big question. I love that.
Right. But I can tell you this, right? The last 3.5 million lines of code I did, we're done in Joomla and, Ajax ++, and they integrated across 3 data silos into a data lake, and the business intelligence, user of it was able to get a $150,000 new line of business per day, $1.5 million over a 90-day cycle using the code that I developed.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. So we got another question. Oh, sorry. Well, the next question is it more, and it goes back to, I think, status control, which is from Lisa, is it more important to establish dominance or foster a partnership of equality? I think I know your answer, but I'd love to hear, do you use that terminology, dominance versus equality?
Yeah. Well, I think the dominance hierarchy is very important to understand, right? What's important is to be a peer to the buyer. Okay. You don't want to lord down on anybody. What you want to do is you want to control the assets that you have.
Yeah.
So dominance, when I use the word dominance, there's a dominance hierarchy, right? There's the CEO, there's the CFO, there's the VP of engineering, there's the janitor. There's a real dominance hierarchy, and you have to plug in to that dominance hierarchy. You have to be a peer of the buyer, right? Let's say a CFO is making the decision. You don't have to dominate everybody. You have to be a peer for the buyer. So what I can say is, if you are weak in areas where weakness is perceived, then, even if you're trying to be collegial, you'll find, and everybody's aware of this expression, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, let me give you a quick example. I'm sure I mentioned this to you before, but a good example of this is Australians, right? They sell very differently. I work with a lot of them, and they come here, right? And they go, we just have what we have. We're totally transparent. We tell you what we have. The price is the price. Can't do anything about it. We don't play games, right? And Americans are like, what are you up to? What do you think the real price is? Like,
that is so, and buying, we learned it from buying cars and all these things that had flexible pricing. So I get that.
So when they come in, and at least in our society, in our culture, and they say, this is the price, we're totally transparent, this is what it is, nothing we can do, we go, great, right? This is the level set. Now let's start negotiating. How can I lever these guys, right? That's what'll happen. And maybe, okay, I don't know, like maybe you sell $1,000 things or $5,000 things. And we're not always thinking in terms of leverage. But when you start moving up levels, people think, it's how do I get leverage here and save money? So that's I tell the Australians, it's not that you don't play games. It's that you play the I don't play games game, right? Yeah. And so everything is frame control. Mm-hmm. What does the buyer see? What do you allow them to see? You don't want to dominate them, but you want to control the process. If you don't have so first of all, we were talking about the pitch, right? You got to pitch the right things in the right order. You get things out of order and they go, this guy's winging it. He didn't prepare. He's new to the industry. And what does it do, right? So having things out of order or having not enough detail or too much detail, right? Whether you call it winging it, unprepared, new to the industry, it lowers certainty that the things you say will happen in the future really will happen. Yeah. That's why, this is why I think we talked about it, but yeah, you got to think about, like, I'm docking the Russian spaceship to the International Space Station at 30,000 miles an hour, 75,000 miles above the Earth or whatever it is. It's like, this is complex maneuver. And these things have to mate. That's the job of the story. We got to talk about story too, but the story here's what I would say. The docking mechanism about, because when you go to watch a movie, the narrative arc has got to be constructed perfectly, or you go, oh, I know what happens, or I don't care if that guy dies, right? Or you're like, yeah, I've seen the end of this movie 25 times. Like whenever you see a movie and the guy turns to the camera and explains to you what's happening, that movie is fucked up, right? Because something's wrong with the narrative arc. The people in the movie shouldn't have to turn to you and explain what's happening. The narrative should be enticing. So the narrative arc of your story is dependent on having the right pieces in the right place.
Yeah, and they can't know the ending. All right, so we have time for one last question. This is flying by, and it's absolutely incredible. So last question is, how can you continue pitching yourself after the meeting has happened, from Boyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the end of the meeting, it depends how you end the meeting, right? And so if the end of the meeting, remember, we started this talking together saying people want what they can't have. People want what they can't have. 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 70-year-olds. That's how our economy runs, right? I mean, I have so many cars and motorcycles that drive you nuts, right? What? But you know, I'm always on the internet looking for another one. Oh, you know, I want it. Whether you collect baseball cards or postage stamps or you know, likes on Instagram, right? You want those likes that you can't. People want what they can't have. And so when you give it to them, I'd like this job, or yeah, we'd be happy to sell you the consulting services. We'd be happy to sell you a subscription to the accounting SaaS software. Then people go, okay, I know I can get it. They put you on a shelf, go send me the slides, and then you leave and they look for a cheaper one or a free one or one from China. Not to be mean to China, right? So the tension, the answer to this question is, the moment you say you can have it, I am not investigating you. I'm waiting for your yes. They will disappear and look for it cheaper. So the way to follow up is at the end of the meeting to say, you can't have it. I mean, and that's crazy. You know, how can you go pitch yourself or a deal or a product or a service, right? And be passionate about it and pitch it and put all the things in the right place and show the ROI and the problem you solve and all your logos and how the traction and how good you are. And then at the end say, but you can't have it. The problem is you have to say that. You have to say, you know, and so the basic script for that is, I like you, Brett.
Yeah.
I think we could work well together, right? I talked over you, you know, my promises, because I wanted to get you all the information. The next meeting, I'll let you talk, you know, more, right? And you know, but I don't know enough about you at the moment.
Yeah.
To say, here's exactly what we're going to do together. I think we're good, right? But I'm, as much as you're doing due diligence, what you have to do, I have to continue doing due diligence on you, right? why don't we do this? Why don't we say, look, in the next 2 weeks, here's the plan. Okay. Yeah. This would be the follow-up call. This would be the preliminary decision. This will be the LOI, and this will be our signature date. Okay. Does that make sense? Can you fit that timeline? Because really, if somebody says to me, I can't do that in the next 2 weeks, right? This, you know, they're not on my timeline. I wouldn't, you know, so I've got so many contracts to get out and things to do. That's about my time. Does that work for you? Right. And yeah. Right. And if you said,
I love that because so often we follow up with, do you have an answer yet? Hey, just following up, just checking in, just wanted to know, right. Pinging you, as opposed to setting that natural timeline that says, I'm too busy to check in with you. I will. Yeah. I'm gonna follow up with you on this date, and that's the time you'll hear from me, as opposed to that continued pitch. So I love that. I believe like we have run out of time, and most importantly, we could probably take another 2 or 3 hours, but you probably have to get to your kids' hockey practice or something real.
I do.
So I just wanted to thank you. Thank you so much, Oren. Everyone. Clap at home for Oren Klaff, and more importantly, get the books. These are books that you will buy and you will reference for a very long time. I'm still referencing Pitch Anything for years.
I'll tell you what's so good. is, you know, we're trying to close a big account here. It's $10 million. And we're thinking, what should we do? And we're taking out Pitch Anything, which I wrote, right? And we're going to page 68 and we're like, oh yeah, let's set this frame. So it's a working manual, you know, as much as it is, you know, one thing you read once and then put back on the shelf.
It really is. It's something that you will continue to refer to and will also provide it. The context will change and you'll be able to apply it to new situations that come throughout life. And for those of you that are, you know, creative pitchers, there's so much application and so many different ways to think about what we normally do, which is usually beautiful and usually amazing, but we forget about ourselves as part of the value and part of the prize, you know?
And Brett, can I just do one thing that just occurred to me? So this is not some weird background that I picked, you know, to sort of be cool. This is like my actual conference room. Like this is a, you know, this is a physical, like.
Oh my God, I thought it was a background.
Yeah, no, this is like, this is an actual, you know, conference room that I built for whatever reason, with the Chernobyl control room background, the Star Trek fan, because this is what I love, you know, you know, the 1980s war games computer.
Well, I think you just gave me an idea, maybe a creative quarantine, creative room competition. Yeah. You know, I've got one of the credibility bookcases that that's out there, you know, but I like the idea of that. I think we might run with that. So thank you for coming by today.
Hey, thank you.
I'll be in touch. I would love to spend more time with you, but thank you. And I'm sure everyone is thanking you for your valuable time and all the hours we put in before this, during this, and I'm sure after. Take care.
Thanks, Brett. I appreciate it. All right. You guys were so professional. I appreciate it. Okay. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. You too.
What's up, guys? Boye from The Future Party and from the future, clearly. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, and click the bell for more notifications. Check out the description for more on us. We've got some amazing things for you coming down the pipeline. Peace.